You know that little blinking cursor on your screen? Imagine it as a tiny, judgmental metronome. It taps, create, publish, monetize, repeat. That tap turned into a drumbeat, then a march, then a religion, and we all queued up for baptism. Once upon a time, people worked to live. Somewhere along the line, we swapped roles. Now we live to prove we're working hard enough. Let me tell you a short story. A friend of mine, call him Marco, loved painting. Not for fame, not to sell, just to watch color stop being a flat thing and become noise you could feel. One day he posted one piece online and 3 people said sell prints. 2 weeks later, he was scheduling shipping, making pricing spreadsheets, and crying into a pallet because the thing that saved him became another task on his calendar. Marco hadn't sold his art. He'd outsourced his joy. That's the trick. Hustle culture doesn't convert hobbies into income for your freedom. It rents your free hours, names them side projects, and charges you guilt when you sleep. We were told, be productive, be visible, be exceptional. What they meant was, be available. So this part isn't a rant, it's stage setting. If the cursor is whispering, it's not a muse. It's a manager, and it's time we learn how to ignore middle management whispers. If hustle culture were a person, it would be that guy at the gym who screams during bicep curls so everyone knows he's grinding. And somehow, we made him our prophet. Let's roll back a bit. There was a time when rest was normal, even celebrated. People took walks, stared at clouds, did absolutely nothing without needing to label it self-care. Then productivity influencers arrived like modern missionaries. They brought commandments. Thou shalt wake up at 4 a.m. Thou shalt optimize every minute. Thou shalt feel guilty for watching a movie without taking notes. And the worst one, if you're not constantly improving, you're falling behind. Behind who exactly? No one knows, but everyone started running anyway. To make it worse, social media became the holy scripture. You scroll and witness dozens of strangers winning, and suddenly your life feels like a loading screen. So you try harder, faster, more. You don't even know what you're chasing. You just fear being the only one not chasing something. But here's the twist. No one actually feels fulfilled this way. Everyone's tired. Everyone's secretly asking, what am I even doing? The machine isn't powered by ambition. It's powered by insecurity, the quiet terror that you're not enough unless you're producing something every second. And that's how the hustle became a religion. Not because we believed in it, but because we were too exhausted to question it. There's always a moment, a quiet, embarrassing little moment, when the whole hustle myth starts to crack. For most people, it happens like this. You're sitting at your desk, surrounded by tabs titled, How to Be More Productive, Morning Routines of Billionaires, and Why You're Not Successful Yet, Harsh Truths. And you're convinced you're about to transform your life, until you notice it's been 3 hours, and the only thing you've actually produced is anxiety. Or maybe it hits you at night. You lie in bed scrolling through videos of people your age buying houses, launching businesses, starting foundations, climbing mountains, learning Mandarin while running on a treadmill. And you just try not to drop your phone on your face. Then, in that split second of honesty, a thought slips in. If I'm doing everything right, why do I feel so wrong? But you ignore it, because the hustle doctrine teaches you to blame yourself. Not disciplined enough. Not consistent enough, not hungry enough, not alpha enough, not something enough. Meanwhile, your brain is waving a red flag like, hello, maybe the problem isn't you. Maybe you're just tired or human. Remember humans? That's the moment where your internal system starts whispering. Maybe this whole grind thing is broken, but don't worry. You won't admit it yet. Nobody does it first. Because questioning the grind feels like committing a crime, like you're betraying some sacred code of the internet. But deep down, you already know this can't be the point of life. You just don't have the words for it yet. That's where we go next. So here's where things get uncomfortable, because part 4 is where we expose the trick. Not the fun kind of trick like pulling a coin from behind someone's ear. The darker kind. The kind designed to keep you obedient, exhausted, and too distracted to ask dangerous questions. It starts innocently. Someone tells you, hard work pays off, which is true, in the same way saying, water is wet, is true, but then they twist it. Suddenly, hard work isn't enough. You need grind. You need hustle. You need to destroy your sleep cycle, sacrifice your hobbies, cut off your friends, abandon joy, deny rest, and inhale motivational quotes until your soul smells like burnt testosterone. The trap works like this. They convince you your worth is measured in productivity. So every hour you're not working becomes a failure. They present rest as weakness. Sleep? Weak. Breaks? Weak. Time with people you love? Ultra weak. You can sleep when you're dead. Which, ironically, comes sooner if you follow this advice. They move the finish line. Always. You made progress? Not enough. You improved? Do it faster. You're better than last year? Someone else is better than you right now. So hurry. It's a psychological treadmill. No matter how fast you sprint, the scenery never changes. And the worst part? You think the treadmill is your fault. You don't see the cage because they painted it the same color as ambition. And while you're exhausting yourself trying to prove something, nobody ever asks the one question that breaks the entire illusion. Prove it to who? Because here's the secret. The grind only works if you stay too busy to realize the game was never designed for you to win. The goal isn't to make you successful. The goal is to keep you working. The moment you understand that, the trap loses power. Not instantly, but the spell begins to crack. There's a moment, quiet, subtle, almost embarrassing, when you realize the grind never loved you back. It doesn't happen during burnout. It doesn't happen during your 15th coffee of the week. It doesn't even happen when you sit alone at 3 a.m. pretending you're building something. It happens when you pause. Not quit, not collapse, just pause. And suddenly, you notice things you weren't supposed to notice. Like how people who tell you to work harder usually benefit from you doing exactly that. Or how every motivational quote is just a polite way of saying, your value comes from how much you produce for us. Or how rest isn't a reward. It's a biological requirement. The same way breathing isn't a luxury, but somehow you still feel guilty doing it. That's when the cracks appear in the system. You start asking questions. Dangerous questions. Questions like, why am I competing in a race I never agreed to run? Why does ambition feel like punishment? Why am I chasing things I don't even want? And the moment you ask them, something shifts. You stop moving automatically. You stop obeying without thinking. You stop worshiping busyness as if it were a personality trait. And you begin to see the machinery behind the curtain. The part they never want you to look at. Because here's the truth, no one prints on a hoodie. A person who can think clearly is more dangerous than a person who can work endlessly. The system wants workers, not thinkers, not questioners, not people who pause and ask, wait, who benefits from my exhaustion? When you finally wake up, you don't become lazy. You become selective. You choose where your energy goes. Who deserves it? What actually matters? And that terrifies them. Because once you're awake, you're no longer a battery they can drain. You're a human being they can't control. There's a point in every thinking person's life where you quietly decide, I'm done. Not dramatic. Not announced on Instagram with a quote from Marcus Aurelius. Just done. Done pretending you don't feel exhausted. Done forcing yourself to care about what everyone else worships. Done sprinting toward goals that were never yours. And the moment you step off the track, everyone notices. At first, they think something's wrong with you. Are you okay? Translation, you're breaking the rules. You've changed. Translation, you're not predictable anymore. You're not as motivated as before. Translation, you stopped working for our approval. But you know the truth. You didn't lose motivation. You lost illusion. And illusions are expensive. They cost years, energy, identity, sleep, sanity. So when you finally stop playing their game, the world gets uncomfortable because your silence is louder than their noise. Your honesty is more rebellious. Your clarity is more threatening. You're no longer someone who can be controlled. Pressure, expectation, fear of failure, or that invisible scoreboard every morning. You unplug. And when you look around, you realize something almost tragic. People aren't tired because life is hard. They're tired because they're chasing lives they don't enjoy. And for the first time, you refuse to be one. You will stay because you're impatient. You rest without because rest is not a weakness. It's a weapon. You choose your battles. And most of them are battles. Just noise the sky. A calm mind is not ambitious. It's simply unconvinced that chaos is the price of success. And that scares people. You stop looking. You force them to question. Why they're still doing it. There's a strange peace. Once you walk far enough away, it doesn't arrive in silence. It doesn't feel like victory. It feels like oxygen. Real oxygen. Time to get going. The peace of someone who's finally sees. And here's the part no one warns you. Clarity is momentary. Because once you stop rushing, you notice how many people never stop. How many live on autopilot. How many confuse momentum with motion. How many keep running simply because everyone else is running. And for moments, you wonder, should I go back? Back to the place. Back to the place. Back to the version of you that everyone understands. Because that version never felt you. You can't go back. Because once you see the truth, you can't unsee it. The truth that most people they want to familiar with. The truth that society but punishes destruction. The truth that is the most rebellious act. And here's the twist. They won't follow you space. Not because they don't want to, but because they're afraid of the face. When the noise finally stops, their regrets, their doubts, their choices, their unrealistic. That's why you're here now. So you keep going. Intentionally, without needing permission. You build a life that feels like home. Not a life that impresses strangers. You protect your peace the way others protect it. You choose truth. Silence. Stillness over the pain. And someday, someone will look at you. You seem different. More free. And you'll smile because you know the reason. You didn't become free. You stopped living in a cage you were trained to call normal.